So today we'll just mainly catch up with what along our course schedule, the tasks and also the chapters. We'll do some free discussion of about the topics, and for that we may do a little bit of exercises according to the PowerPoint slides we have, and I'll also answer questions or concerns about any assignment. So, well, I have graded most of your submissions so far. I think they are good, and I don't think any assignment so far is really very challenging, right? Yeah. So, do you have any questions about the oncoming assignments? So Kelly's good. Okay. All right. So it's Misty. Yeah, I saw Haley just now, but she's not there for now. Haley, are you there? Oh, there you are. Okay. So yeah.
Oh, sorry, just ran to the restroom real quick.
Oh, of course you may. Yeah. It's good that you join us. If you don't mind me saying that, probably it's our first time to meet.
I know. I think it is.
Yeah. Good to have you. Good to have you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how are you? How are things going?
Oh, not bad. Can't complain. Working a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Yep. Okay. Yep. So I just talked with Kaylee and Misty. Maybe you have heard me. So if you have any questions about the assignment, just feel free to. We can talk about it now, and then we can also, of course, I mean, you can shoot me email anytime. Yeah. Okay. I plan to make it a little bit different from last time. Because last time I focused very closely on the textbook. Today, still the topics are from the textbooks, but I just took things off of the PowerPoint slide we have on Moodle. Please understand, one of my purposes is that to draw your attention to kind of more of the content in the chapters, because well, quite some of the contents will be covered in a practice test. Yeah, Misty, you got a question? Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought there's a hand up from you.
Sorry, I was just rubbing the side of my head.
Feel free to do that. Yeah. So we have chapter 4, phonology, and chapter 5, implication from phonology for teaching English second language learners and teaching reading, and then English orthography. Yeah, so we will touch upon some of the topics in these 3 chapters. And for chapters 7, 8, 9, and 10, so far I plan we will meet maybe 2 times to cover them all. That's my plan so far, but we'll see. If there is any change, we'll cover them in 1 time. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to share a screen with you, and we will all look at the PowerPoint slides along with some other Microsoft Word files sometimes. That's good. Well, just to go over briefly the components of language. And just to give you a heads up that today we may I may have you to just share what you have from your experiences when dealing with especially English second language learners. Oh. Well, did you get a chance to see the document, English is hard to learn? Not yet. Okay, so English hard to learn. Just take. We will not read the whole thing, but I think it's fun to read, so we'll just take a quick look at what is in here. This page is called Reasons Why English Language is So Hard to Learn. You may take just some seconds to read some of the sentences here. Maybe you will understand it better. Why, to English language learners, why English is difficult. So let me try one out. Number 9, I wish you would correct me if I made a mistake. Number 9, when shot at the dove into the bushes. Am I right? No? Kaylee, please. Would you read it?
Yep. When shot at, the dove dove into the bushes.
Oh my. Yeah, at first I thought I would correct it as the dove into the bushes. You know, but I don't think it will be pronounced as a dove. Yeah, the dove dove into the bushes. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. So dove. Yeah. Dove is the past tense of dive, right? Yeah. Okay. I would have done a better job if it is ducked, or just yeah. Okay. And number 8, a bass was painted on the head of the bass drum. Okay, maybe nodded. Okay, that must be correct. Did you find it interesting, right? It's really the language, or our language. Actually, is still my second language. Well, I think I can say our language to most of you. It's your language. But there are so many interesting yet complicated or sophisticated features with it. And we have read somewhere, maybe in this book, it confuses me sometimes in real life. Why do we park on the driveway and drive on the parkway? Right? Yeah. I mean, one of our ancestors, maybe not too distant ancestors, decided that we would use these words to mean these as such, and just to confuse people. So, while being aware of such interesting features of the language, we really need to pay more attention to think in the shoes of English language learners, and sometimes we may care to do some more explanation or paraphrasing so that they can understand. And maybe when we meet a new person, or especially having new student to this country in our classroom, we may try to avoid too many idiomatic expressions, right? Yeah, sometimes I struggle with idioms or some colloquialism in English. Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint. The document I showed you, by the way, and all of them are on the Moodle class site, week 3. Okay, so the words are very small. All right. Components of language. All right. We also have a Word document for this one. The components of language includes phoneme, morpheme, semantics, syntax, prosody. Am I right? Discourse, pragmatics, nonverbal communication. Yeah. If we divide it this way, we have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 8 components of language. And for either our testing purposes or for even general knowledge purposes, or for course the learning purposes along with this course, we need to know what they stand for, what is studied under each branch. So phoneme, is the sounding unit of our language. It affects meaning, right? Yeah. And morpheme, we haven't read that chapter yet. I mean, so at least by today, so morpheme deals with the smallest meaningful unit in language, but it's not about sound, it's about meaning. And semantics is the study of meaning of language. So I saw a hand up from Misty. Please go ahead. Oh no? Okay. I'm
Sorry.
already. Yeah.
Like morphine, I think small. And so I was just doing the little hand cues that go along with the vocabulary words.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it's the smallest meaningful unit. If a combination or if the letter or combination of letters doesn't have a meaning, it's not a morpheme. It's not morpheme. Yeah. To give another example of morpheme, do you think the plural S, the letter S, plural S, is a morpheme? Well, oh, I even need to think now. Yeah, I think it is because in that context, it has meaning. It means plural, more than one of that thing. Yeah. Okay. So syntax, of course, is the study of sentence patterns, the grammar about sentence, composing sentences. Prosody, am I right with the pronunciation? Okay. All right, I saw you.
Because it's based off of the word prose, so.
Prose. How would you say it, Misty?
The same way.
Say it, please.
Prosody.
Prosody? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm close. All right, thank you.
Rhythm of the words, right?
Yeah, so what aspects of the words, the intonation, the tone, and also sentences. Yeah, sometimes even it looks like a statement, but we can change the ending tone, right? We can rise the tone, change it into a question. Sometimes even a sentence in a questioning tone doesn't really indicate a question seeking answers, right? Yeah, it may indicate different meanings, different moods or emotions. Yeah, and we may have some later examples. Discourse is about what? The study of the way we carry out conversations with one another. Yeah, the exchange of discourse, the exchange of remarks. Pragmatics is the study of use of language. We use language in certain ways. We have such and such word choices because we are in a certain context. We have certain intentions. That's why we use it this way. Well, yeah, the context and our intentions could make the same words or sentences mean differently. That's pragmatics. And nonverbal communication, of course, deals with sign language. With that said, well, could you, recall any experiences that your English second language learner, students in your classrooms, whose language is not, first language is not English? Did you find any struggles they had in any of these aspects? Well, they may vary. They may vary according to grade levels. Very primary grades, they may struggle with those smaller units in language, and higher level, well, naturally we would think so. Higher level, grade level, they may struggle or they may show more struggles with syntax or conversation formulas or rules. Yeah, of course. Well, some problems or struggles may persist, like vocabulary. Is it hard to think of? It might be too specific to think of now. Yeah, go ahead, Haley.
I have a couple students who are like pretty new in the United States, and they sometimes mix up the noun, adjective, adjective, noun. Like in Spanish, it's noun, adjective, and so sometimes they say it that way in English too, like the book fun instead of the fun book.
Oh, that's very interesting. Very
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, it's really only like usually they're pretty good about it. It's just once in a while it'll slip out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good to hear that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, we call that transfer. The transfer of between languages. Sometimes we have a positive transfer, which is correct. It doesn't negatively affect the acquisition or learning of the other language. Sometimes it does. If it does, we will call it negative transfer. Yeah. Or another word for it would be influence. With our help, we would like to have students have more positive transfer. And with that said, we are all aware that actually, well, the development of their first language, especially among very young children, is not a hindrance, is not in the way of the development of their second language. Whether they are learning the second language or they can also be acquiring the second language given its enough input or exposure, right? Yeah. So language actually, the developments of different languages on one single person, they do not conflict with one another in the long term. In the short term, they may. We may observe phenomena like what Haley shared with us, yeah. Grammar-wise. Okay. Components of language. Phonemes. Okay, well, let's do this then, just to check your understanding of phonemes. So how many phonemes are in these three words? Fee, free, freeze. Misty, two in which one?
Two in fee, the
Two
in E.
F, F, and E. Okay. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah. So, Kaylee, do you mind talking about the second one, free? How many phonemes are in free?
I would say 3, the F, and then the R, and then the E part.
Okay, so
Or
R and E. Okay, do we all agree? Okay, all right. And the third one, okay, Haley, please.
I'd say 4. E, Z.
Freeze.
Yep.
Okay. 4. Wonderful. Thank you all. Single sound of freeze. Freeze. Yep. No problem. Okay. Sounds easy. All right. Here's more. Well, actually, this is morpheme, and well, maybe you will not mind because the immediate next chapter will be morphology. So we may just do a little bit exercise as a warm up for that, and so you can also confirm, or you might be more curious to know more about that chapter. We will be looking at these 4 words: forest, trees, treeless, treed. Our questions are covered. The answers are covered. So now it's good that our little windows are also covering the answer key on the next page. It works out pretty well. So how many morphemes? We have said morpheme is the smallest and meaningful unit in a language. Smallest and meaningful unit. So how many morphemes are there in forest? Well, we may use the sentence as examples or as the context. There are many trees in a forest. So you can tell me Well, I don't know whether you can tell me together, but you can give me signs or give me number on your using your fingers. 2, we have 2. So he's still thinking, but also 2. So 2 morphemes in forest. That word. Okay. Forest. Number of morphemes. Forest. I would say I to be honest, I forgot the answers. I looked at it 2 or 3 times, but I forgot the answer. I would say 1. Okay, so trees. There are 2 trees in a yard. How many morphemes are in trees? Still 2. All right, 2. Okay, I agree with you. Also 2. Treeless. Parts of Kansas are a treeless plain. I'm sorry to hear that, though. Yeah. So 2, and Haley, how about you? 2. Okay, treeless. Me too. Yeah, me too. 2 for me too. Treed. The dog treed the raccoon. So also 2, Misty. 1. Interesting. Great. Okay. By the way, what does it mean? The dog treed the raccoon. For young English language learners, it might be hard for them to understand because usually trees are nouns. Any teacher here can help me? What does it mean?
I mean, I think it sounds like it means the dog chased the tree or chased the raccoon up the tree.
Exactly. Wonderful. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so it's time to review the answers. Well, it's not hard for us to remember our answers. Okay. I'm sorry, the minority won. The first one. Yeah. Okay, so forest may have many trees and 2 syllables, but means one thing, forest. So one way to judge or to find that out, figure that out is forest the word itself further dividable and the divided parts still make sense? No, right? We cannot divide forest further. Yeah. Whether the forest here that has trees or the forest in Forrest Gump's name. You mean that one we cannot divide it into meaningful units either? Absolutely not. Right. So, well, looking at trees, 2, you're all right. So I think we will all divide it this way. Tree and the plural s. Tree has meaning. S has meaning too. That means more than one. And treeless. So tree and a suffix. And a suffix, of course, carries a meaning, right? It means no, without. Treed. Yeah. Well, I thought Misty is just did it that way to make it more fun. Yeah. Tree here became a verb and is added with the past tense. The ed of course has its meaning, which means it happened in the past. So that's a little bit of practice for us to work with morphemes, to tell how many morphemes are there in a word. Let me see, I'm trying to think of another word. So think of a word finite. Finite, F-I-N-I-T-E. How many morphemes are there in finite? Kaylee said 1. Why it's, well, could I ask why?
Well, all I'm thinking is just infinite. It's not plural. Well, I don't know. It's kind of confusing.
Well, but actually you got it wonderfully, and you spoke out the word that I want to say next. Yeah. So finite, we cannot divide it further, but you are thinking of, yeah, if we add in to it, we have another word we often use. Maybe more often, we use it more often than finite, infinite or infinitely. So infinite, can we divide infinite? We can, right? Can we? I mean, what is in? Does in as a prefix has meaning? Does in have meaning? Yes, it does. It means negative. It means not, right? Yeah. So finite, well, means limited. It has boundaries. It has limits. Well, if we add a prefix to it, it means limitless. It has no boundaries. But well, infinite has two meaningful components. Well, finite has only one because it's not dividable further. If we break it apart, well, the parts, each one of them doesn't have a meaning. Yeah. So that's the way, I mean, it works when it comes to morpheme. Yeah, wonderful answer. Okay, let's move on. Semantics deals with, we often use hierarchical structure, sometimes meaning maps to work with the sentence structures, or we call it semantic structure. Well, either with sentence or even with paragraphs and meaning of words. So some words has a broader category of meaning, and some words has sub-meanings of some others. Okay. So semantics just now it's still semantics. All right. Okay, syntax, we're not there yet, but it's okay for us to just to quickly look through the examples. So what happens to these 4 sentences? Simply speaking, they become longer and longer. And well, structure-wise, the first 3 might have the same structure, right? Subject, a be verb, and what is the word for that? Yeah, a noun phrase. But yeah, I'm thinking of the component in a sentence. But the last one is a complex sentence. Is it complex or compound? It's a complex sentence. It has a clause. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to do this, we have to follow certain rules. We cannot just freely mess around with the, say, adjective and nouns, their sequences. We cannot just put verb in front of the object or nouns like what's happening in Japanese, and then sometimes it would do it the other way around. Yeah, so we have to follow the rules. And that's what syntax does. Okay, prosody. All right, I learned from you. So here's some further explanation, which deals with the intonation, falling or rising. That's simple to understand. Or stress. Stress, not so it deals with the tones at the end of a sentence, and also it could be specific as the stress on each individual words. So caloric, majority, major versus majority. So the focus, the emphasis changed. According to my personal feelings, I think American English speakers or American people, many American people, you are not very strict or serious about the emphasis or stress in words. Am I right? I might be just imprudent in saying that. The stress or emphasis in many words are different or flexible when I came here, compared with my past experience when I was taught, formally, seriously taught. I learned it from the textbook. So English speakers speak them that way. You have to put the stress there instead of here. But when I came here, well, sometimes I heard it's here on the first syllable, sometimes on the second, sometimes, yeah. I'm trying to think of a example. Well, of course, the parts of the speech makes a difference. Yeah, Haley, go ahead.
I have a friend who's from France, and when she visited me here last summer, something that she remarked about American English speakers is that we're really sing-songy with the emphasis that we put on our words and like the tone we go up and down, like calorie, like it starts high and it gets lower, and it's just like something that we just know how to do. And she had a really hard time figuring out where the stress goes in each word, because French is a language where typically like you don't emphasize one syllable over the other. It's kind of just all mushed together.
Yeah, that's another good example of the linguistic differences, yeah, between the systems. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chinese. Well, you all know I know Chinese pretty well, so I often use Chinese examples. Chinese actually is the sounding system. You know, each character has only one sound, or you would say one syllable. So one syllable matches one character, and then the characters compose sentences. Of course, sometimes a word, a meaningful word, takes two or more characters, but each character, the writing unit, has only one sound, one syllable. So that also makes it difficult for Chinese English learners, yeah, to deal well with the stress or emphasis of words. Of course, we learn about the rules. I mean, for multi-syllable words, usually the stress falls on the one before the last, right? Yeah. Say irresponsible. Well, that's another example in that aspect there. Yeah. Okay. Say intonation. Intonation, we would rise ne because it's the second to the last. Intonation. Yeah. We would never say intonation. Okay. Discourse, speech, or or text. Yeah. Speech is also a very important keyword in this aspect about language study. Speech. We have speech acts. Speech acts deals with the maxims or rules of using language, right? We should have read that. Grice's 4 maxims in using language. Okay, pragmatics. So simply speaking, pragmatics deals with the rules of turn taking, how to talk, the norms that we should follow to have successful conversation. Oftentimes, we would also study the nonverbal cues, nonverbal behavior. Yeah, nonverbal communication. So from this picture, actually, cultural differences play a very important role. Well, in different culture, the same gesture may mean very different things. So we got to be careful with that. To establish successful communication, or to ensure that, we have a common code of communication, right? Yeah. So it takes time. Prosemics. Yeah, I would read it according to the rule I learned. I mean the pronunciation. Prosemics, which deals with the space, distance in communication. Of course, I mean mostly between human communication, not really, I mean between, as what this picture depicts. And chronemics, I hope I'm right. Of course, it deals with time because of the CHRON, which means time or about time. So punctuality means differently in different cultures, right? Even in different languages. Okay. That's maybe at a terminal, so people react differently to each other in verbal and here nonverbal communication. mainly due to cultural differences. Yeah, we can find many pictures, cartoons depicting this. This is a fun video. It's old, but it's a fun episode. These people, they all have different struggles about the different aspects of a language, so I encourage you to watch it after class. And try to relate that with your students. And think about what you can do about that. Phonology, all right. Okay. Oh, yeah, exciting. Test time again. Spelling in English is easy. Okay. Well, let's look at the second question. How many vowels in the English alphabet? How many vowels are there in the English alphabet? This is a low level question. Do we have an answer? 5? Okay. Fingers on one hand. Yes, yeah. A, E, I, O, U, right? Yeah. You're right. How many vowel sounds are there in English? Just now you may consider how many vowel letters, because we talked about alphabet. Here, how many vowel sounds in English? That's different. It will be hard for me to count. How many is that, Misty? I'm sorry. So we need to have
I was going for letter C because you have the short vowel sounds ah, eh, I, and the long A, E, I, and then you have like the diphthong sounds, the ah. So I was thinking 20, but I don't know the exact number.
You are right. Yeah, now I understand. Yes, that's a C. Yeah, you're right. Yes, that's a good explanation. Yeah, yeah. So we also have the combination of vowel sounds, which well make us have diphthongs, right? Yeah, wonderful. So 20. How many total? How many phonemes in English? Okay. Well, we have this diagram or picture in the chapter as well. This is very. I was even required to memorize this while learning linguistics. The pronunciation, the tongue position for sound production. Well, this is about consonants. Also, we can also use the same chart or diagram to illustrate or to describe the position for pronouncing vowels. Well, oftentimes, well, about consonants. So here's the tongue. We have later on we have a picture. We have a diagram that is not really like the an autonomy of our profile. Okay, we'll see. So here's the tongue. So this picture is, yeah, place of articulation, manner of articulation. Voiced, voiceless. So thinking back to phonemes, do you remember or do you know the what minimal pair refer to? Minimal pair. What words form a minimal pair? Do we have a minimal pair here? Yes, we do. Yeah. So actually, we can say all the three groups are minimal pairs. Why?
Only one, because only one sound's changed out for
Yes.
another.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah. For example, pat and bat. The only different phonemes, the only different phoneme is the p and b. Yeah. Well, this is at the beginning. If it's at the end, it's the same thing. It's also they still make a minimal pair. Yeah. So there's only one difference in a combination of the phonemes. Yeah. So chin, jin, fat, vat, and here the difference are all at the beginning, very beginning of the words. Yeah. Well, the minimal pair concept actually is very familiar to us, especially when we are doing phonics exercise with the young children at the primary grades. Right? We have, say, the flashcards, usually have pictures, bat and cat. And we let them read out and with the picture so they can match better with the words and meaning. Yeah, the different kinds of phonic exercise we often practice with minimal pair. Okay. These words, I don't know how familiar you are. What will be easy for you to understand them? Well, the prefix and well, the combination of these words should make them at least not too hard for us to understand or even remember. Say dental, of course, it deals with teeth. Labial would deal with lips. Yeah, so bilabial, well, such sound would involve both lips, like p, b. And labial dental, well, you have to use lip and teeth. So we can produce sounds like v, right? So it's the lower teeth and the upper lip. So we call it labial dental. So why do we need to, why is it helpful for us to remember this? Well, first, the thing is we might be tested. Well, the question might be for us to describe the pronunciation or the articulation of certain words. Yeah. And I think it's Misty, you did, you chose a question to describe the pronunciation of the tongue twister. Am I right? Yeah, yeah. So I think you did a pretty good job in using these rules. Yeah. Aviola, of course, deals with the here uvula, and then it also involves the palate, so palatal. Maybe I'm right. Alveopalatal, like a sh in shin, and zh, like in vision. So that's the place of articulation, yeah, for these consonants. Well, I don't know for sure, but I guess in the test you might have multiple choice at least. So you are given certain sounds or words, and then you would pick which one accurately describes the place of articulation. It will take a few of these words, 2 or 3 words. So, for example, we have labial dental, then we have what? Voiced or voiceless. If it is,
When I took the test, they didn't ask any of those. You just needed to know if it was a voiced sound or a voiceless sound.
oh, that sounds easier.
So that's
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I wonder. I did wonder.
learn them if you want.
Yeah. Sometimes, I don't want to make you just do too much or just going too deep. But I wasn't sure. That's a lovely fur friend. Yeah. In your picture, Katie.
Yeah, it's past FOOD time, so he's bugging me. I can't say it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, do you need to give him or her something then?
My husband's actually about to here pretty soon.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. It's a boy or girl?
Boy, he's a bug.
Okay, yeah, lovely. My kids always cry for pets, but yeah, we haven't had any. Well, Misty, yeah, thank you again for the input. I did wonder about that. But still, I mean, we looking at these terms or these position words, well, still will help. I mean, it's better for us to just to be familiar with them instead of maybe we don't have to recite them, you know. But if we know them somehow, it would be easier. Yeah. Okay. Stops, affricatives, affricates, nasals, liquids, glides. These should be. I mean, we have already known them since years and years ago, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Am I right? Okay. So digraph and blend, single phoneme represented by 2 letters, we call it like this, and then blend, we call it like that. 12 more letters, each sound. Yeah, here's a little question. Which ones are which? So we have understood concepts. So 3, 4, we have 10 combinations down below. Which ones are digraphs? Which ones are blends? So can we do it one by one? What about WH?
Blend?
It's a blend. Okay. So it should be green.
Oh wait. I
Digraph, because you get the what sound.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, Misty, what did you say? I'm sorry.
It's a digraph because it's the what sound, like what. What
Yeah.
they go together.
Mm-hmm.
They go together. It's one sound, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how about SH?
Digraph?
Digraph. Okay. TR?
Blend.
Blend. It makes more sense to me. How about BL?
Blend.
Blend. Yeah, there are 2 sounds. And NG?
Digraph.
Digraph. I think I'll agree. I agree. Yeah. How about CR?
Blend.
Blend. Yeah. Okay. KN.
Digraph.
It's kind of hard. Well, usually K would be voiceless, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, it would be digraph. One sound. SM. Blend. Right?
Yep.
Like in smart. Okay. PR. Blend.
Blend.
And TH.
Digraph.
Okay. All right. Let's check.
Digraph.
We are right. Right?
Yep.
Yes. Well done. We have a few tables like this, similar to this, although they are all different in the chapter, and they are pretty good visuals for us to know how to describe the pronunciation of the sounds of consonants and then vowels and diphthongs. The tables become smaller and smaller because we have the most for consonants. Well, this might be a little bit deeper than it might be possible to be tested, but I don't know. Allophones, well, it's easier to understand. The phonemes deal with phone or sounds. So PHON, of course, stands for sound. Allophones, they are just variants, different variants. Not a whole lot about one, just a few variants of the same phone or the same phoneme, right? They become different because of the adjacent syllable or sound. All your tongues slightly different in each pronunciation. What phonemes in common here? E or T? Okay, T, stay, get there. I think it's about T here. So T here has a few allophones or variants in different words because they're adjacent sounds. You can try it yourself. T, stay, get there. Does it make sense to you? So actually, we pronounce it in different manner because of the pre or post or the preceding or following sounds, right? Okay, go ahead. Vowels, say farewell to consonants. I'm waiting for the, this is about R control. Yeah. So this is about the tongue position for vowels. And this one is easier to draw and then easier to remember. High, mid, low. This is the tip of the tongue, front, central, back. If we have to really, describe the vowel position, this chart is very helpful. Well, probably we won't have to, yeah, according to your experience from the test. So we can place this chart into the oral cavity. You can do that, I know. Yeah, using IPA symbols to transcribe these words. We're not doing it now, but we can look at that. It may take a bit longer for you to read it, but it will be easy for you to read that out and let it make sense, right? Yeah. She has the thinnest legs I ever saw. Wow, that's a beautiful meaning. The Clark chimes 2 times each war. I didn't quite understand that. Oh, the clock. What is H? So Katie, could you help me with this sentence? Then we'll go.
What was that first word? It's the
Yeah.
the clock.
Yes.
Chimes two
2 times.
times. Yeah, it's for the clock chimes 2 times each way. Each.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you for reading that out.
I can't get that last word.
Yeah, just now I struggled with them too, the last 2 words. I got it now. Yeah, I think it means, Misty, did you get it? I think it's each hour.
Oh, okay. Hour.
Yeah. Well, the way the IPA goes now is different from when I learned about it. At least 20 decades, even longer than that. Yeah. So the long E, we would put a colon after the little e, so make it longer. Each hour, or yeah. Well, now it has no 2 dots. It doesn't have the 2 dots behind it. So sometimes I'm not sure whether it's long E or short E. Okay. Ready to go on? Okay. Any questions so far? Yeah, we just lost Haiti. Yeah, probably she has something important. All right. Session 4. Are you all good with time? We're close to an hour.
I'm gonna have to go like here within 5 minutes.
Oh, you told me you need to work from 5, right?
Yeah, I have to. Well, I have to be somewhere at 5:30. So I have
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. I remember that. That's why I call us at 4 o'clock. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Feel free to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, again, my purpose is not just to have a little bit of fun, but also to just, if you don't mind, to remind you. I mean, we have interesting content there. It's useful, and also kind of to thread what we have read in some way. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this has been good for me. Reading it gets a little confusing at times. So doing some of those examples really helped me grasp it a little bit better.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. So along with your reading, and even sometimes you answer the chapter questions. If you have any thoughts, any questions, feel free to email me. And it will be even great if you have questions that when we meet we can discuss. So our other friends can also hear that out and have a better understanding of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I think I'm gonna leave the meeting, and then the rest you're just gonna email us the recording.
Yeah, I won't make it too long.
Okay.
Now I will only have Misty. I probably won't torture her a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Good seeing you today.
Yep. See ya.
Okay. Yeah. See you. Okay, Misty. Now let's just quickly go over this. What is in this PowerPoint slide and so that's yeah. So I'll change my plan. That is a fun video about youngsters or teenagers. They produce many sounds with fricatives and affricates in class, and those annoying sounds. You can watch it. It's kind of fun. Yeah, just a one man's show, but it's short and fun. Okay. Well, we do have a little bit of question here. Let's see. Okay, so if you don't mind, let's just well, like playing games, we'll do some of these exercises and not too much afterwards. So an ELL pronouncing father as father is pronouncing which one?
Unvoiced consonant, father, father. Would it be the unvoiced as voiced because of the th and the duh?
You mean A or B?
Duh. Unvoiced because th is kind of quiet, it doesn't have the vibration, and father is the voice because it vibrates at the back of your throat.
So yeah, you are leaning towards B, the second, unvoiced consonant as voiced, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the key, but actually I think it might be C, because so father, the TH in father, I think it's voiced. You think is it not voiced? Voiceless? Father. It's
It is. It's vibrating at the tip of the tongue.
it's voiced. So I would think it's C, a fricative as a stop, and D is a stop.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, student pronouncing sheep as cheap is struggling with
Sheep. Denoting consonants made by the friction of breath and the air.
Oh, it came back to me that you already passed the test. It has.
I struggle with these because I had to do all the sounds and like figure out what part of the mouth the sounds came from.
So, but like what you said, really the test that doesn't go into such detail.
No, it doesn't. It hits a couple of the like main sounds that you have to know, but it doesn't go into all of those big words that describe what they are. It's just what is the sound and is it voiced or unvoiced kind of questions.
Let's be a little bit off track from these questions. So the test focuses more on your subjective views on how to treat or how to help ESL learners.
No, they kind of give you situations and examples where there's an error and you have to say what that error is. And so it's kind of, it's reading the sounds and then a lot of the listening and telling what you hear, what is wrong, but.
So that still involves knowledge then.
Yeah, you need the samples and the activities that you go through here. Those will help a lot because I did a lot of those sample activities to help study, and that's what helped me, is just going through and kind of doing what you said, playing those games and talking about where does the sound come from and how do you know. That helped.
Okay. So there are not so many short answer questions. Mostly you have just multiple choices.
Yeah, it's all multiple choice. There's no short answer at all.
That makes sense. Yeah. If it is, I mean, essay questions or short answer questions, that it's hard to grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And different graders may have different standards. That makes sense. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. Okay. So, well, cheap is struggling with. So, actually, she should have pronounced sheep as sheep. So that's the sh sound is it's a fricative, right?
Stopping again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fricative. So it's struggling with fricative. While ch, the one in cheap, is affricate. So, well, although it's just a you here, but let me ask you my question. I always wonder: do you say Chicago or Chicago?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah.
The fricative, right?
Yeah.
Chicago. So do you say Charlotte, or Charlotte?
Like the snow outbuilding, a building that you stay at in the, like in the mountains, like
which I
can't quite hear the word Charlotte.
Like
or a name.
The story. The pig's name.
Oh,
no,
Charlotte.
the spider's Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Charlotte's Web, right?
Yes, Charlotte's Web.
I did hear people say Chicago, even on the radio, and I did say some school teachers say Charlotte.
There are a couple pronunciations that are different depending on what region you're from, because one of the things that drove me crazy in Maryland is a lot of people, when they say for, they say fora.
Oh.
And
sounds like a flora.
Yeah, instead of for.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from. And a lot of people add, for Washington, they make it a Washington, and they put that AR sound in there, depending on what region they're from too. So it's like you were saying earlier, those lax rules with American pronunciation for certain things.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it makes better sense to me. I feel better because I was taught to say Chicago instead of Chicago. It's different from what is spelled.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Okay. Well, that video, that sounds to me it's a little bit hard to catch, but it's also a fun video from an episode from probably a movie or something. Yeah. All right, co-articulation. Yeah, it's another question, and the answer is A because catnip, the t and n are pronounced together, and we call those phonemes or sounds co-articulation. Yeah, you probably already know that. Well, pardon me, I'm just going to again quickly browse through these slides and to see.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we may have to talk about, given the fact that we only have you here and you have already passed the test. Yeah, these are the ESO methods we ever used about phonology in particular. Grammar translation, of course, that's mostly outdated grammar translation, but we started with that.
They still ask some questions associated to these just to see if you understand.
If you understand what? The methods?
Different ways, yeah, the different methods. They still ask the questions.
Well, yeah, well, it makes sense to me because we need to know the pros and cons of different methods because, well, every now and then we may resort to some of them still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So direct method is a big thing. It's still used as encouraged, especially to second language learners, but only. Yeah, audiolingual, natural approach. I'll remember that. Okay, grammar translation. Contrastive analysis. Well, yes, if you found something familiar that you encounter in a test, it's great to let me know. Yeah. If I don't have a chance, well, for one thing, we have the recording to share with our other friends. For the other, it's good for me to know it, and for later students as well.
Okay.
Yeah, if I had time, I may probably take the test myself. Yeah, there's also a lot of discussion about social psycholinguistic view of reading. 3 cueing systems. So this is talking about the context and also the importance of consonants. If we can see if we just read the consonants, especially the beginning and ending consonants are correct, mostly we can tell what words they are. Yeah, so that's an interesting exercise to illustrate that. Amazing, huh? Yeah. You can try it later too. Check the times 5:10. Okay, so almost everything I wanted to talk about. Do you mind just to do this exercise for some
No,
more
that
time?
would be fine. I tried to do it earlier today. I was kind of confused.
Oh, you're confused? Actually, I'm trying to get some answers from you. Yeah, I tried too.
Okay.
Once upon, so yeah, could you read it aloud with your ideas about the words?
Okay, so once upon a time, a boy, Flossie, met a really cute girl, Flossie. The two Flossies began to chark. They were happily charking when another Flossie came by.
Yeah.
The Flossies stopped for a moment to watch the new Flossie. After she left, the Flossies began to chark once again. And I was
Yeah.
Chark is like talking and Flossie is like people. Is that what they were going for with that?
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect, really. Yeah, began to. I somehow just missed the last one. I forgot. Yeah, I should put chark there. Yeah. Although I usually don't use that verb. Yeah. I think from this exercise, the rationale is for us to understand that how important it is for us to, or how helpful it is to have a context.
Okay.
So we have a story, and they have been doing something, and then probably they will continue or going back to do that again, do that action again. So that has something to do with the context, and then also even the graphophonics. The graphophonics, I don't know whether it's been tested. It's been discussed a lot in this chapter. Simply, I need to try to explain that. It's about trying to understand the relationship between meaning and sound using context. If it is not in the context, especially from reading, well, it's hard to connect the sound and the meaning, and that's what graphophonics mean. So there has to be context, especially from reading. Well, syntax and semantics, of course, they are bigger, they are more general, broader concepts, which deals with syntax deals with sentence patterns, and semantics deals with the entire meaning system of our language. So here in the gap filling exercise we just did, we have many clues, we have many cues from the context, and these words appeared before or after, so they give us clue. We can fill out same words or phonemes. That's my take from that. Okay. There are 44 phonemes. All right, it's just a pity that people were gone. Yeah, there are 44 phonemes to answer one of our questions before. Yeah.
Is it 44 phonemes and 4 blends or something like that?
4 blends, I think you might be right, but I need to check. Yeah. Yeah, 44 phonemes. About blends, I should have known that, but yeah, you might be right. Okay. Yeah, the history of English spelling is talked a lot in chapter 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mainly the history is from those culture or nations that use the alphabetical system of language. Not in other cultures like China or Japan, who use character or graphical language, which is different. Yeah. So the alphabetical language, the spelling part and the sounding part could be connected, but in Chinese or in graphic language system, they are not. So that's why only these countries were talked about. Yeah, Anglo-Saxon origin. Greek-based. Yes, exactly. And that is it. Do you have any other comment? Anything?
Not really.
Okay, yeah.
This
So,
was kind of a fun chapter looking at the origins of words. So
yeah, well, with that said, the origin of words, it might be a hard question for you again. So could you remember anything about that in the test? I don't think.
I don't remember anything about that from the test.
Right. Yeah, I finished reading of all the 3 chapters, and actually, for that part, the origin of spelling, I did the list, the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't have many sticky notes in this chapter because well, this is history, and I mean, praxis is a test that connects theory with practice
Yeah,
in
with
classrooms. I mean, we cannot connect too much of that. We don't have to. Yeah, probably we don't have to devote too much attention to the history or the origin of the spelling system, whether we use sticks to put into the clay to make to start the first language. Yeah. Okay, so that makes it lighter in that chapter, though. Yeah.
but there's more. I feel like there's still an applicable like use for the
Yes.
classroom, because I know that I had one boy who he was an English language learner. He spoke English for 1.5 years. Well, he was learning English for like 1.5 years before he actually spoke. So he redid first grade, and by the time he was in my second grade class, he'd absorbed so much of just the understanding of words that he was making connections with his language and other languages to define new vocabulary words. And he was able to define those words faster and more accurately than some of my English speaking students.
Oh.
Because he knew that background origin associated with a lot of the words.
Well, that's really a good connection. So the different language system. I mean, about his first language. What is his first language? Spanish or Greek or?
I was trying to remember. It's not Spanish. It's
must be a similar language system, right?
It's similar. It's that Quiche dialect of, and so he had to translate from his language, and then he went over to a Spanish because that's where most of our help was, and they could make those connections. And then he translated to English, so he was doing a triple translation.
Oh my goodness.
And he just had the drive to learn, so he really analyzed words, and it helped him. And he was top of the class this year, and I was just amazed at his ability to read and write in such a short period of time, just because of his understanding of language and where the words came from, and his just drive to learn.
Is he a second grader or first grader?
He's a second grader now.
Second grader now.
Mm-hmm.
That's really amazing. That's amazing. The methods that he used, actually, I personally, I'm not for that a lot. Translation takes time. It's not a natural acquiring route in learning language. Yeah, but he did that.
Yeah, he was making those
double translation. Yeah.
He is a pretty amazing little guy, and so.
Amazing. Well, I believe after he survived or just successfully, I mean, transitioned from that period, and now he can just use the English he has already acquired to learn more English instead of just always constantly translating.
Yeah, that's what he does now, but that was like that first step was making all those connections, and now he has like that vast web of vocabulary and word origins.
Yeah. He already has the structure or the scaffold in English for him to learn more English more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
That's you can use him as a case study and write a paper about that. Really, it's a good story. That's a good story. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having the conversation till now. Yeah, I also learned many valuable information from you.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, yeah, and we can share it with all our friends. Yeah, thank you, Misty.
You're welcome. Have a
Yeah.
good night.
You too. Yeah, thank you.